Unfortunately, I've had about 15 jobs in my life, most of them terrible, some of them just bad. But spraying lawns has been my favorite so far. And today I wanted to kind of give you a little inside look of what I do during the day, maybe give you some actual action of me out there spraying lawns and talk to you about it. Because the point being is, if you want to start a weed control and fertilization business or a mowing business, I would start soon. Like, I'm filming this in the fall, because you want to be ready to go the first of the year. Because when the spring rush comes, you don't want to be trying to fumble around and get all your stuff together. So today, let me just give you some insight into what I do for my business, show you some action footage, and just have a conversation about what it's like to be in the weed control and fertilization business, in case you're curious. Today's video is sponsored by Gram Spray Equipment. This is my Gram Spray rig. I say this, I love mowing lawns. I've mowed a lot of lawns, had a lawn mowing business. But I've never had a lawnmower that came anywhere close to making as much money as this Gram spray rig on the back of my truck. So the ROI on a good spray rig is just through the roof. I'm talking about easily topping $1 million. And I'm not saying a lawnmower can't make you $1 million, it might can. But these things, it's not that complicated. It's just a little Honda engine, a reel, big tank, and they just make money as you spray lawns all day long. Now, the downside is I've been walking a lot of these yards. We got some hills in our area. I do ride on machines sometimes too, but when I'm walking, it gets your legs a little bit tired. I don't know how many miles I'm walking, but anyway, we're gonna get going today early in the morning and hopefully have a productive day. I'm gonna try to provide some tips for you as I do the video today. So let me just talk to you what went down on this first yard. Sun's come out, so there's shadows. This is a large centipede yard, about 25,000 square feet. One of the things I like to do is, I got a big yard, I wanna do it in the morning if I can, especially if I've gotta walk it instead of ride on a machine. I just got more energy in the mornings. So I don't want any part of a 25,000 square foot yard at the very end of the day when my legs are tired. I could do it, but I'd rather do it in the morning if possible. Another good thing about a large yard like this, with our warm season grasses, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to tell where you've been walking and where you haven't been walking, or even on a machine where you've been riding, where you haven't been riding. So on a machine, especially on a big property, I'll go early in the morning where I can see the tire tracks in the dew. It makes things a lot easier, and I can also see my footprints walking early in the morning here. If you don't have that, you can obviously just pick some kind of spot out on the perimeter of the yard and make sure you're walking straight lines, overlapping a little bit. Also, this is a centipede yard, but most of my yards are Bermuda and zoysias. That's where it comes in really handy, having a split tank. So on this large side over here, it's 300 gallons. I keep that mixed up from Bermuda and zoysia lawns. And on the smaller side, I've got it mixed up for centipede and St. Augustine lawns. It's 100 gallons. I put just a little bit of blue dye on the smaller side so I can tell when the hose is cleared of the Bermuda zoysia mix and is now spraying the centipede St. Augustine mix. And I can control it with these valves right here to decide if it's going to pull from the large tank or the small tank. So right now I've got those two valves flipped up. That means it's pulling from the small tank, and once it starts spraying with that lightly tinted blue, then I know I'm spraying the centipede St. Augustine mix, and I can flip those two valves down and spray it back into the tank that has the blue. And once it turns clear again, then I know I'm spraying from the Bermuda zoysia side. So really handy if you're dealing with multiple grass types. Spraying a fall pre and post emergent application. So on the Bermuda zoysia lawns, I'm spraying 2,4-D, Spectacle Flow, and Simazine with surfactant. In the centipede St. Augustine lawns, I've taken the 2,4-D out. If you want more post-emergent weed control in centipede St. Augustine, you could add something like Speed Zone Southern. It might help you out with some like dandelions and broadleaf weeds like that. I forgot my phone today, which might actually be a good thing. I'll enjoy the freedom from that thing. And moving on to the next yard, the trouble's gonna be finding all my yards. I don't have them all memorized. I know where most of them are, but usually I rely on the GPS. So we'll see how we can figure that part out. All right, pulled up at my next stop. I've got 4 houses all right here together, which is great for route density. I want to go ahead and get these knocked out. One of them has a mixture of grass types. So I had a little bit of centipede, a little bit of zoysia, a little bit of St. Augustine, a little bit of Bermuda, all in the same yard. Not ideal for me, but you're gonna make the best of the situation. I still got my spray rig set up spraying the centipede mix. So I'll go there and kind of hit some of the St. Augustine and centipede, and then I'll flip the valves and let it, then I can start spraying the rest of the yard with the Bermuda zoysia mix. All the rest of the yards are Bermuda grass, maybe a little bit of zoysia on one or two of them in some shadier spots. So we're gonna get these 4 knocked out, and then we're gonna move on. I think after this, I got one more big yard, and the rest of them are kind of smaller Bermuda zoysia yards, so a little bit more driving involved. So let's get to spraying. I've got my yard signs here that I'm gonna put out. Also, one of the good things about the route density, not only do you have a very efficient route, you also put these signs in people's yard, and when they see that 4 of their neighbors have the same lawn company and the lawns look good, it's more likely that they're going to call you if a new neighbor moves in or people that pass by those yards a lot. So if you can get a lot of yards stacked up in the same neighborhood and then they see the yard signs, it's great. For my yard signs, I use a company called Spray Signs. It's spraysigns.com. The guy's name's Chad. He does a great job. These are actually not my cool signs. These are some I'm gonna use up, but I've got some cooler ones that have a what is it? A chameleon. That's what it is. I got a chameleon that's eating a dandelion with his tongue that I'm excited about, but I want to use up this last box of these before I move over to the other one. So I'm gonna stick these signs in the yard and get spraying. All right, it's 9:45 in the morning. I just finished these 4 yards. I want to talk to you a little bit about that. I'm trying to share some tips with you as I go along throughout the day. I've done 5 yards total. These 4 right here, I generated about $270 in revenue in about 1 hour. So it's hard to compete with that as far as a mowing standpoint with one person for sure. It'd be very difficult to do that. And that it's not always like that, but having 4 yards close together, this last one I actually spray the flower beds too on that. So there's some extra revenue involved with that. Spray the flower beds, I typically just keep it in a backpack sprayer. I'm using 2 products. SureGuard is a pre and post emergent product that can really help keep the weeds out for a while, and I mix it with glyphosate so I can kill whatever existing weeds. Now that's not something you can just spray over the top of the plants. You're basically spraying around the plants. The other thing I want to mention, I talked about having a split tank. Like yesterday I was trying to figure out like how many gallons do I need for my centipede lawns, because I knew I only had 3 centipede lawns today, and I didn't want to fill it all the way to the top and end up wasting chemical. I mean, it wouldn't have been waste. I could have used it for something else, but I just wanted the right amount of the centipede mix. So you see, as I'm looking at my sight tube there, it's a little hard to see, but it looks like I got about 10 gallons left for this one backyard, which should be plenty. It's just a small backyard, and that way, the reason I did that, I wanted to go ahead and get all my centipede yards done today, because tomorrow I'm going to take this small side, and this to show you what else you can do with it, and I'm going to mix it up at a very concentrated ratio that is designed for this ride-on machine here. So this only sprays a quart per 1,000 square feet, where I'm spraying 2 gallons per 1,000 square feet out of the hose over there. So with that, I can mix this side up for the ride-on machine, keep the other side mixed up for the hose, because they got a huge property that's pretty flat and square and all that, or rectangle I guess, and I want to go out there and spray that, and I don't want to walk it. I want to use my ride-on machine, so I want to use this side for that ratio. I'm 5 yards in, already got about $400 in revenue, and I spent about 45 minutes driving. This is one of those days where I'm driving a little bit further away from home. A lot of my properties are very close to where I live, but on today I had to drive a little further, and I use the illustration, I've said it before. It's like when you go fishing, if you got to drive a little bit further on the lake because you know there's a lot of fish over there, then it might be worth it. So I've got an area that's about 35 minutes away that I drive, but once I get there, I've got a nice dense route. And so I went ahead and got these yards out of the way. Now I've got some small yards that should go faster. I think I had 17 on the schedule for today. I've got 5 knocked out, 12 more to go. A lot of them are small. I think there's 1 big one left. Let's get going. I just pulled up on one of my absolute favorite yards. I wish I had 1,000 of them that looked just like this one. This yard was one I did a video on earlier that it took over this year. It was a mess, and now it's looking so much better, but it's so tiny. I love the little yards. So tiny yard, I'll probably be in and out in like 4 minutes maybe. So these are great and highly profitable in my opinion. Let me show you the yard. Again, this one was really looking terrible. I wasn't sure how well it's going to do, just to be honest with you, just 'cause I wasn't sure how much sunlight it's going to get. This Bermuda grass needs sunlight, but it actually filled in fairly nicely, and it just goes around there to the end of the house. I mean, it's maybe 1,000 square feet of grass, if that. The kind of yards that I love. A couple of issues I've been seeing in the lawns lately. One, it's very, very dry in my area. I'm in Alabama. I know a lot of the East Coast got rain, obviously, from the hurricane. Don't want that kind of rain, but we haven't had much substantial rain in the past week, and so the yards are dry. So I'm encouraging people to water, even though it's October at the time I'm filming this. Normally, a lot of times we have our irrigation turned off by now, but I'm trying to encourage people to water a little bit. You don't want your lawn going into winter on a severe drought and just being really stressed out, because that can increase the likelihood that it's going to suffer winter damage. And the other thing I'm seeing a lot, but I think this also related to dry weather, is the armadillos are going crazy. I can't tell you how many yards I've seen that are just tore up where the armadillos coming into the yard out of the woods and just digging up the yard. So that's been a problem as well. What I have on my phone today has presented a little bit of a challenge because I use it for a GPS. I mean, a lot of these customers, I know where they are, but I might not know exactly which house it is. So I just pulled up on this street. I said, I know my customer's on this street, and I start seeing one of my competitors sign over and over and over. And I thought, man, how do they get so many yards in here? And I thought, I know the yard I've got is a good looking yard. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I believe that guy is a Mississippi State fan, which is not super common because I live in Alabama. And I pull up on a house, and sure enough, they got Mississippi State, some kind of door ornament hanging on the door. Nice, beautiful yard. I get out, I think this is it, put my sign in the yard. I walk in the backyard. I said, let me just double check, because I'll recognize the backyard when I see it, because the front yards look a lot of the same in this neighborhood. And I walked in the backyard. I said, nope, actually this is not my customer. So I get the sign, pull it out of the yard, drive up a little bit further, and I do now see my customer's house, and sure enough, Mississippi State at their house too. So 2 Mississippi State fans in the same street in Alabama. Threw me off a little bit, but I'm at the right house now. Gonna spray it and move on. All right, I've got 8 yards down, 9 to go. It is 11:14. I also stopped at Walmart, and I've already eaten my lunch. So things are looking good, in my opinion. And about the yards getting mixed up, sometimes that happens. I had a competitor call me, actually no, it was my customer called me the other day, and they said, hey, this other line company has got their sign on your yard. They sprayed our yard today, which I know it was an accident, it wasn't a big deal. But I called the other company, and it was a mix-up, and they sprayed the wrong yard, and so I didn't want to come by and spray it again. That would not be helpful to the lawn. And so things like that happen. But I want to, on this situation, it's just rare, have 2 yards with 2 Mississippi State fans. I wanted to double check, and so I could get the yard right before I sprayed it. What do you guys do in this situation? If you want to leave a comment, you can. But I had a customer prepaid for the whole year, then they sold the house. When they do that, I typically call them and say, hey, you know, do you want me to continue the service to the end of the year for the new residents, or do you want a refund for your remaining treatments? This guy said, hey, just continue on with the new residents. So sprayed today for the new residents, but I don't know exactly how to get a hold of them. I don't have a phone number. I obviously have their address. I guess I could mail them a letter. But how do you handle that as far as trying to get them to continue being a customer next year? How do you reach out to them? I just pulled up on this yard. It's got Bermuda in the front, centipede in the back. So you can see I flipped those valves back up. What that's going to do is make it start pulling from the small side over here, which is my centipede St. Augustine mix. So what I did, I flipped it up. Instead of spraying it back into that tank over there, I'm just going to spray this tiny front yard. And I believe it should work out about right. About the time that the hose gets cleared of the Bermuda zoysia mix, it should turn slightly blue, and I should be ready for the backyard. So then I'm going to flip it back because the rest of my yards are Bermuda for today. All right, I got a customer that's real nice, and I told him the situation about forgetting my phone. He let me use his computer. I was able to locate the last 3 yards I was having trouble with. I've got 5 yards total left, but 3 I was confused about location. So let's knock out these 5 yards and get done with this day. Three yards to go. It's a little after 1 o'clock. Let's get them knocked out. It's 2:15 and I'm done for the day. I did 17 yards. Of course, I got to drive home. There's some other things I need to do, but I've got a few commercial properties I'm going to take care of tomorrow, but I'm going to knock off for today. Hope the video's been helpful for you. I wanted to kind of give you a little inside look of what it's like, what the day's like, and just showing you that it's actually a very profitable business. Weed control fertilization pays well. I'll just say it like that. Now, you got to have a lot of customers. You can't just have 12 customers and go out there and spray them every 6 weeks and make a lot of money, and it may take some time to build up your clients, and you got to know what you're doing. But once you get established, it's very common for people to generate $1,000 working solo, and $1,200, $1,500 days are not uncommon by any means. So that's not some guarantee that you're going to make that much. I'm just saying that's not unusual, record-breaking numbers. But thanks for watching. If you're thinking about getting into weed control or mowing or mosquito spraying, any of those businesses, I've got resources at lawncarelife.com, including the Weed Control and Fertilization Academy. I'm also thinking about maybe putting together some type of coaching package for this winter where we can do some live coaching as well as the video courses. Please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. I hope to see a lot of you at the Equip Expo coming up October 18th through 21st, I believe. I'm planning to be there Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. If you hadn't registered, you can still get a ticket, I believe, for 20 bucks with my code LawnCareLife. That's all one word, LawnCareLife. It's going to be 80 bucks at the door, but with the discount code, I believe it's $40 now. With the code, you'll get half off. So LawnCareLife, all one word, if you're going to the Equip Expo. I know I will be in the Exmark booth on Thursday. I'm also giving away a spiker spreader on Thursday, so hope to run into a lot of you guys there. We'll see you guys in the next video.